I think the third round is a bit underwhelming compared to the other ones.
You're not wrong there. Let's wait for a few more people and then we'll get started.
Yeah, we can have a 5 minute buffer. We had 30 people interested in the event, so I think more will join.
Yep.
This is actually really fun.
Sorry? I didn't catch that.
I'll say this is actually really. Oh, I see. Like, the game maker. This is really fun. Like, I really enjoyed like
Yeah.
making my games with my game maker.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature. And the graphics have gotten much better since we got the installation for this. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with.
What's up, Rihan?
Hi, Rihan. It's been a while.
Are you cheering for Brazil or not, Rihan? You better be.
We're also fine. We're just following and we're just talking about the World Cup.
Wait, after the live stream here, the credits gonna be up for the Jabali Studio.
Yeah, we're planning on having the masterclass for an hour. Maybe we'll finish it a
Okay,
bit earlier, but in 1 hour from now, the contest starts, and then everyone will receive premium, and the credits will be reset.
okay, cool. It's like within our email, right? The same email that we logged in with.
Yeah, the email from Luma. We're taking the list from people that registered on Luma and using that as our source of truth.
Yeah, so make sure
Okay,
that you whatever you've registered on Luma is the same one you're using for Jabali.
okay.
You guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
See,
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Hey, Alex. Yeah, we can
no.
cover that on the masterclass. I'll go through kind of my script showing all the features in the studio first, and then we'll have some time later. Then we can go through some other features that I might have left out. Also, during the presentation, you guys feel free to drop questions in chat. Then when it's over, I can go back and take a look at them, and then we can open mic. We'll still wait a couple more minutes, and then we can start.
President Boyd, I have a question. I have a question. I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The layout. The first person layout I showed you. That's actually really. I like what Jabali actually did. Like when I was typing in my layout for my first person shooter, it just had like the three kind of like that's like really good.
Yeah, we have those templates, and some of them are in Godot, so they're really high quality, and you can start a game with a really good set of mechanics, right? I'll go over in the
Yeah.
presentation as well the choice for, of course, as everyone knows, has a lot of upside, but using some of our web frameworks also has advantages. So we'll go over that.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I like how game makers are like this exist because I'm not really a big holder, and have a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really happy like things like this actually exist just for AIs.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, this is
I
cool.
think
I'm
I think
excited.
we have a good amount of people, right? I mean, I think
Yeah,
we
it's
can start.
a good one. This is actually it's quite nice to see a lot of people this time.
Yeah.
We have some
Are you
interesting
good?
discussions.
Are you good with the recording?
Yep, it's on.
Okay. So since some other people joined, what I mentioned before is that you guys feel free to drop any questions you have during the presentation in chat. I'll go over them at the end of the presentation, and we can do some other things like check out different features that I didn't talk about. So we can also open mic at the end. But for now, I'm going to show you guys the basic features of our studio and what you'll be looking at when you're making a game. Of course, you are also free to use our web framework to build your games, but this masterclass is more focused on the studio, since with the studio you can make some more advanced games, right? So when you first open the studio, this is the page you'll be looking at, and you'll notice that you have a sidebar over here. You have your central section where you can type out your game ideas, and you have this recent projects part below. This is a section where you can open all of the recent games you have been editing. This sidebar as well is where you can access all of your projects. If you click on your projects, you can see all of them right here. I have 1 million of them. You'll be able to see all your projects. On templates, you'll be able to see some of our starting templates, which is something Matt was mentioning earlier. You can start a game directly from here if you like any of these templates. If you start the game typing over here, Bali will most likely start from a blank template, right? But if you see one of the templates you like here and you want to start editing from it, you can do that as well. On the community tab, you can see all of the different games that people built, so you can access them through here. And in the Learn section, you have a few tutorials that we made for Jabali. On our YouTube page, we have a lot more tutorials as well. We have our previous masterclasses. We will have this masterclass over there as well. So you can check out all of the content there. We have some masterclasses like this one that are more general purpose to use the studio, but we also have some for specific mechanics or specific topics like making some 3D assets or making levels and things like that. So yeah, this is the content from the sidebar. And on this icon here, you can you can either log out or you can access your settings. So on the settings, you can actually see your information here and you can change your information if needed, but you can also get your user ID. This is really important in case your guys are actually reporting a bug or reporting a problem with your account. We will always ask you guys for the user ID. So this is the where you can find that string. You can find your billing information here in this tab. On the MCP tab, you can see the MCP servers you actually have. So I added already 2 MCP servers that sometimes I use. So you can see that one of them is connected. In order to add these MCP servers, you have 2 options. You can either import the files from here. So if you click this, it will open your files. Or you can go directly to add MCP server, and you have this form to fill, and you actually can choose the transport. So you can choose what protocol you're using for the MCP, and you can actually point to the working directory here. So you can do this directly from here and from other places as well. So when we get into a project, I'll show you how. Here we have a new feature for the studio, which are shell options. You can change your shell mode to a custom executable. You can leave it at auto to use what we're set up on using. So this is a new feature that you can play around with. We have our skills tab as well. So on the skills tab, we have some that I imported before, like Caveman and some Go.ui designer, if I'm not mistaken. But we also have plenty of skills from that are out the box from Jabali. So these skills right here are already active, and all you have to do is enable to use them on the project. You can ask your agent to use them, and it will be able to use them. So this is very useful. If you want to add the skill, you can either create it from here, and you can type it out directly and save it, or you can import the skill, and this will open your folders, and you can add the skill here in the format that you want. You can add a folder, you can add the .md file, whatever you prefer. So yeah, this is all we have on this main page, and of course, the way you interact with the agent is through this chat here. So you'll see that you have some options to choose from. This is what I was talking about before with the engine choice. So this is the first big choice you will have when making your game. And we'll have to keep in mind that this is a 48-hour game jam. So of course, Godot, everyone knows how powerful it is. You can make a full commercial game with it, and it's amazing. But at the same time, it is a bit more complex, and it's a bit more work for the agent to use it. So it will use up some more sparks than web frameworks. So, and sometimes it can be a little bit slower to actually get the edits through, although it's not too much, but the main difference is in Spark usage. So if you choose one of the web frameworks we have, maybe the game won't have as much potential for a full publishing, even though you can publish a phaser game like I did on Steam, for example. But it'll be a bit more complex in the long term, but in the short term, which is for this contest, it's 48 hours. Web builds are perfect and they work very well. So I would suggest that to you, but you are free to choose either Godot or web frameworks. You can see that we either have the web here, where it's basically free. So you're just telling the agent that you want to use one of these web frameworks, but you can type out, for example, let's click on suggest an idea here, and the agent will just generate an idea, and you can just type out the engine. So you can say that you want to use Pixie.js, for example. And the agent will take that and it will use the shell and try to implement that framework that you're using, even though Pixie.js is not here on our supported list. So all of these are supported out of the box, but Pixie.js and other ones can also be installed. So yeah. Phaser is exclusively 2D, so you won't be able to put 3D here because it's a 2D framework. And 3JS is exclusive 3D. So if you want to go with a 3D game, you have to go to 3JS or to React 3 Fiber, right? But yeah, you are free to use whatever web framework you would like. We basically are engine agnostic at this point, web engine agnostic. So let's exclude the Pixie.js thing, and let's go with this idea, just so you guys can have a look at what our edit page actually looks like. All right, so this is what you'll see when the agent creates your project. So when the agent creates your project, so the first thing it will do before it starts to do things, it will look at your idea and come up with new ideas to actually make this into a full game. So if you go and read through this entire chat, it's the agent's plan on how to implement this, and it's actually asking you for confirmation on some of the ideas and the direction it wants to go, right? So for now, let's just have the agent do something. So go with your ideas, build it. So let's just have it build something when I show the other features to you guys. So We have two main sections, right? I just dragged it out so you guys can see the chat better. So let's start with the chat, which is in the left section here. On the top, you guys can see two little buttons. The bug report button is very useful for us. So if you run into any issues with your game and you use this button, this will go directly to our devs and it will go with your correct project ID, your correct user ID. So this is very useful for us. You can and you should, in fact, use this, and you can open a ticket on Discord so we can go back and forward with your issue and try to debug it. But this, so if you can do both this button and use our Discord tickets system, it's really good. This little button right here is what resets the agent thread. So Jabali has a lot of things in place to compress the context of the conversation. So huge conversations don't burn a lot of tokens and a lot of sparks, right? But this button is still useful. So if you find that the agent is kind of stuck on ideas and it's hard to debug some problems, using reset thread is actually a really good tool to get out of these problems. So this is what happens when you click here. You will nuke your entire conversation and the agent will start fresh. The way that the agent knows about your game is actually by reading the README and the game design document. So you'll notice when your agent is doing things in the game that it's always updating the documentation and the README. That is due to our context compression and due to the resetting. So when you reset the thread, the first thing the agent will look for are those documents to get context on your project and on your conversations, right? You can see here that the agent also generated a project plan. This is a rough plan. This is something that will make even more detailed on new versions. But this is a suggested plan on how you should proceed until you get that first version published, you know. So as you complete these steps, you'll see them checked here. And of course, you don't have to follow this, but it's a good guideline. It's a good North Star, right? When you are starting out. You have your actual conversation here. You can see what the agent is telling you, and you can also see the tools that it's calling. So for example, it's reading a skill right here, and it's thinking. Sometimes the agent, for example, you'll be able to see exactly what tool of the tool set of the agent that it's choosing to use. Okay, so it's, as you can see, it's going crazy here, generating our game. I don't even know what this is about because I didn't read the initial prompt, but yeah, let's go over that later. So yeah. Also on your chat box, you have a few features that I want to go over. The first one is this little plus icon here. This is where you can attach images. For example, if you have reference images that you want for your UI, for example, you have an UI wireframe. If you attach the image here, the agent will be able to see it and understand what you want to build. You can add the images to your asset as well later, but you can do it directly in the chat here. You can also add MCP servers and agent skills from here. So this will open that same form that we opened before, both here and on adding skills. So this is another place you can add those. And here you can actually take screenshots of your preview. So if you want to tell the agent, look at this, look in the corner of the screen, there's a little bugged thing there. So you can just take the screenshot and it will add the preview to your chat. So this is a very useful feature that you guys should be using a lot. This is what the shell commands look like, right, that the agent is trying to run. You can't pre-approve any shell commands for now. So you have to approve all of the commands every time once. This is for safety features. So we'll be able to do this later as we test it out and we develop it out. But for now, you always have to approve, for example, an npm run type check or npm run build. So all you have to do is come here and type approve and click on approve, and it will run the command. This little button right here would stop the agent on its tracks. So you should really only use this when the agent is stuck somehow. So if you see this little icon, it's because the agent is working. So just leave it working, let it work. And yeah, this is what we got for our chat portion. So I'm just making it smaller so we can focus on our actual preview. So let's start from the bottom, from the preview, and then we will move up to show you all the features. First, you have the output tab down here. This tab is your console. So if you get console errors, they will show up here. The agent can also read the logs, but it can only really read the logs when the game starts, right? When the game launches. So the agent can play the game. So you might be playing the game and the game might crash. So you should look here in the output and you'll see a red message and you can copy and paste that to help debug. We also have the build tab, which is for the commands that the agent uses. And if you're doing a Godot project, you have to build it constantly for the preview. And you'll see the build logs here. So if the build has any errors, you'll be able to see them here and paste them to the agent. Although the agent can also read those. So this is what, let me see. Yeah, there is another command that it wants to do here. So let's just approve that. We have the actual preview here, of course. So our preview has a lot of dimensions you can play around with. So for example, if you want to switch to the preview to a full HD monitor, you can just click it here and it will resize to show you how it will look on that device. You can choose mobile. Let's see if this is responsive. Yeah, this is not responsive. So this would be a problem that I would, if I wanted to make a responsive game or a mobile game, I would tell the agent that it's not properly responsive. So you can just change your dimension. Also, we have this button right here that can mute and unmute your preview. And this is a button to open the DevTools. So if you want to get a full window, a separate window with your logs, you can just click on this button here. Moving up, we have 3 tabs right here. The preview tab is the one that we are in. So it's this, right? It's the preview. We have the assets tab. When we generate images or music or sound effects or 3D assets, they will all show up here. So we don't see anything here because this is procedurally generated, right? This is all code. The agent did not create a 3D model, so we don't see it here. But if it did, or if it chose to take a model from our libraries, it will show up here as well. You can also add your assets here. You can either drag and drop an image, a music, sounds, 3D models here. You can click on this button as well. So you can drag and drop here, or you can click on this button and it will open your files. You can also click this little button to show a more traditional sidebar with the content vertical here. Since we don't have anything, there's nothing to show here. And we have our scripts tab, which is where you find all of the scripts in your game. So you'll be able to look at all of them. You'll be able to open them. So this is the code for the slot machine. And here you can manually edit the code if you'd like. You can also click on details, and on every script file, you'll find this and you'll be able to see some information like the size. And this is a really cool feature, which is the version history of this specific file. So if you click on history, so far we only have 1 commit for this, but when you start building your game, you have many. So you can return one file to a specific place in time without returning the rest of the game, which is pretty cool. You can also delete the script from here. And when you open a script, you will see that it appears over here, up here, to the side of this game tab. If we go back and we click on this button, you'll be able to see that sidebar view, a more traditional code editor style, where you can look at everything here. And you can also, let me close this, you can also upload your scripts here if you like, or you can straight up create a script. You can choose the path that you want to create it and make it and type it yourself. So this is what we have for these three tabs over here. Moving up to the last tab, we have some really important features as well. This is your main version history button. So if you click here, you'll be able to see all the commits on your project. And what's cool about this is this is separated by version. So if you publish the game, you'll be able to see another version up here, and you'll be able to restore to any commit on any version that you'd like. So since the agent started editing, you can see there are a lot of commits. One message, as you can see right here, can spawn a lot of commits. So you have to take a look. If you want to restore it to a previous message, for example, take a look at the timestamps. And when you see there's a jump in timestamps, it's likely that jump between your messages. So you can just click on this, for example. You'll be able to see the changes, the diff, and you can restore the commit if you want. So this is a vital feature that you'll be using if you want to restore something, if a bug appeared and you don't want to debug it. So yeah. Next to this button, we have our project settings. This is also really important because you have your game ID here, and this is something that we will ask you if you have problems. Of course, clicking that bug icon that I talked about before will give us this game ID, but if you open a ticket in Discord, we'll always ask for this, so you can just copy and paste it from here. This is also where you find your game name, and you can either change it here manually, or you can just click this little button here to generate a new one with AI. And if you hover this, you can see that Bali actually takes your game design document as reference for the game. So if you change the direction of your game, it will still be able to change the name based on the game design document that it's constantly updating, right? The game description is generated automatically as well. You can regenerate it here, or you can type it yourself. This goes to our website when the game is published. We also have the game poster that you can regenerate right here, and you can also generate during the publish flow that I'll show later. In this page, you can also upload, of course. So if you have an image that you'd like to use, you can upload it from here. We also have some public plugins here. So these plugins work with Godot. So if you want to make games with LLMs, for example, you would have to choose Godot as your project engine and use and install this plugin right here. This would allow you to use AI agents inside the game. And Nakama would allow you to make multiplayer games. They are client-side, so it wouldn't have a server, but you can make some pretty cool multiplayer games as well with this plugin. On AI settings, you can actually look at your models. You can look at your models here as well, right, on our chat. Let me go back. You can choose them here, but you can set them here. But I chose to talk about this in more detail over here, because you'll be able to see it more clearly. So these are the models that we have, the agents, right? The AI models that we have available. This is also an important choice that you have to make on every prompt. So, for example, GPT 5.5, of course, generates better output than 5.4 or 5.3 codecs. But 5.5 actually also uses a lot more sparks, double the sparks, if I'm not mistaken. So even though we are refreshing sparks for you throughout the competition, you might run out of them in between those refreshes. So what I personally do is I use 5.4 or 5.3 codecs mainly 90% of the time, and when I get stuck, I just use the bazooka, which is 5.5, to make the harder changes, So yeah, and you can actually see the descriptions here. All of these agents are pretty good for coding, but you can also choose auto, which is a great feature because Pali will take a look at what you want to do and it will actually choose the best model for that. So that's a good way to fine tune this automatically, right? So Also, you can choose the reasoning effort for any of these models. This also ties into that choice. So, of course, in theory, if you put your reasoning to extra high and you choose 5.5, the agent is going to think harder about what it's going to do, and it will most likely generate and it will probably solve more problems and generate a better output. But the cost also goes up. So it will only really use this extra high or high on bigger problems. So I usually default just leave it on medium or even low sometimes when it's very easy, something very easy. So this is something you can also tweak. Also, something really cool that we have for our agents is the behavior. So we have four behaviors for our agents that are separated from our the model that you're using and the reasoning. This is a whole other thing that Bali has specifically, which is how it will behave during the this building, right? So the default mode is collaborative. So the collaborative mode likes to check back with you and really tries to understand what you want before it builds something. And it likes to ask some follow up questions and things like that. So this is a great mode if you are not really sure what you want to build or you are not really sure how to communicate this to the agent, right? Autonomous mode, for instance, is the opposite. Autonomous mode will take what you say and just build it. It won't really check back with you, but if you are not very clear or very specific with your prompts, this might cause problems, right? It might just build the wrong thing because it didn't understand what you wanted. So you might have to debug it there and go back to a previous version. We have cautious mode as well. This is a mode that the agent is trying really hard not to mess things up. So it would most likely use this on a later part of the project, on a very sensitive part of the project, where you really don't want to waste sparks as well, because we have version history that if the game breaks, you could go back to, right? So cautious is, as the name says, very careful with the edits. And you have creative mode. The creative mode is useful for if you want, it's more collaborative is a more useful mode when you don't really know what to prompt, and creative is more about what to build. So this is the main difference between those modes. The creative mode will actually do things on its own creatively, right? So it will decide and it will test out mechanics and features on your game for you. So this is an exploratory mode, as the description says, right? So if cautious is more used in the end of a project, creative would be more used in the beginning when you're trying to test things out and you still don't have a clear vision of of what your project will be. This below here is also a very important feature, which are the instructions that you can give to your agent. There are two instructions that I always give, which I'll write right here. As soon as you enter the edit mode, you should write your instructions. So things I really don't negotiate. So this is the first one. Never let files go over 500 lines. So it always builds modularly. This makes it much easier to make edits and changes later. And this is something I started adding recently that works for me, which is never create. This is a rule that I create because I noticed the agents really like to create UI elements. So this is something very personal for me. And you probably, if you build games with AI before, you have your preferences as well. So you can just type them out here. These are rules that the agent will always read before your prompt and will do whatever it can to follow them. So you can just save instructions here and those are saved. You can also see your MCP servers here as well. We talked about that before. You can see the shell settings here. You can see your skills. And you can see all of the skills that come already out of the box with the agent. So this is what you can see all of this inside your project. So you don't have to go out of the project into your profile settings to look at it. Yeah, this right to the yeah we were on the settings. So if we click this button here, that's if you hover, you will see the tooltip. Run in a new window. This will open a full window with your game, so you'll be able to also test the responsiveness directly on your full screen. This is very useful as well. And this is a rebuild the project button. So this basically refreshes the preview. If it's a web build, this is basically an F5, right? And if this is a go.build, it will actually rebuild the whole project. So if you are not sure if what you're seeing is the updated preview, you can just click on this. Let me approve this. Let's see if we get the agent to finish the edit, because when it does, I want to publish the game so I can show you the publish full. Okay, so it's now building the game, so it's going to look at the logs after it's built. Yeah, you can see it run the command, it read the logs, and now it should go back to us and say that everything is fine. And it will also suggest some next steps. Okay, it actually says that the validation is passed, but there were problems with there would be problems with performance, so it did a small edit there. Let's see if it actually finishes the edit for now. Okay, so I think it's good. Yeah. So after that, it thought about the project status, right? And it's telling me everything that it's done, and then it's suggesting what what would be the next best step, right? So this is done. We can go and publish it. And when you click the publish button, you'll see this modal, and here you can actually change your game's name as well. You can regenerate it with AI, or you can type it out yourself. This is the version number. It gets updated automatically from your. If you publish again, it will go to 1.0.1. The description that we talked about before, and we have these release notes in case your game is already published and has players, and you'll do an update. You'll be able to put the release notes here for the players. You can regenerate your poster here as well. And during the publish flow, you actually are able to put some poster instructions. So if the output is not really what you want, you can actually put some instructions here, like the color palette or the angle or anything like that you want for your poster. You can be very descriptive here. After you are cool with all of this, you can just click publish, and it will publish your game and give you a link. So let's wait while it does that. All right, so we're at 100%. So when you get to 100% and the game is published, you will see that you get this message here, and you will have your project link. So you can just copy this. So for the submission, for example, on this game jam, we'll provide you a Google form, and you can just take this link, copy this, and send it on that form. That will be the way to submit it. You can also directly open the game with this button right here. And that's it. That's how you would use the studio. You will use all of the features of the studio to create a great game for this game jam. So I see there's a lot of activity in Discord chat. There was a question at the start about 3D models, right? So if we ask for 3D models here in the chat, let me quickly ask for it. Let's see if it returns some options so we can add them into the game. So here let me actually, yeah, it's on creative. So that's why usually on autonomous, it would just give me the list. So here it's telling me what are the best options. So let's just tell it to, so it will offer me some options that the agent looks in the library and tells me basically what it thinks that would fit on our game. So yeah, you'll get, I clicked it too fast out of muscle memory, but you'll get the prompts here, and you'll get an approve button. The red button that I clicked is the approve button for the search. Yeah. So after the search, this should have showed me. Let's see, it's addressing the tool error. Let's try it again. After the search on these boxes right here, we should be able to see the model. Okay. Yeah, this is weird. Sasha, are you around? Did you see this error with the 3D library before?
I think our system might be giving a few errors right now. I'm just taking a look at it. It
Okay.
should just 1 second. Can you go down? Can you see the arrow? Can you try to do one asset first, because it is going to generate a brand new model? Just say can you do? Yeah,
This works?
this fine.
Okay.
So instead of queuing like 5 or 10, it would be better to queue one. Let's see if that works. Yeah, okay, go for this. I will say that the generate a whole new asset so generating something that just pulls something from our cache. We have a extensive 3D library. So if you're looking for something that we already have in cache, it comes back instantaneously. But if you're generating a whole new model, the model does take a little bit of time. So the first thing that comes back with these 3D models would be like the, what do you call it, the FBX or the OBJ file, which will just show you what that model would look like as a preview without texture. And then that takes like a minute or two. And then after that, you can say generate texture if you're happy with it, and you should get back a fully textured, rendered 3D model that you can then place in the scene or use.
Cool. Yeah, and this is a similar flow to generating all other assets. So if you're generating images and sounds, okay, so this worked, like Sasha said. So if we were happy with it, it seems pretty good to me. So we can generate texture after this. Yeah, so for the person that asked at the start how we would go about 3D models, this is the way. So we have the 3D library that, as Sasha mentioned, just grabs one of those assets immediately if those match. If not, it then generates the model. So doing one at a time seems better, as we saw here. For images, you can just do the same. You can just prompt it in chat, and you can say, I would like a ground texture. I would like whatever image that you want to use in your game, and it would just generate with a similar box and with options to choose from, and the generate buttons. Music is the same. Sound effects is the same. Sometimes when you ask for sound effects, the agent might try to do procedural sound effects, but you can actually ask it to actually make sound effects as assets. So you have a complete tool set here to build great games. Okay, so looking at Discord chat, I see Money 15. So for now, we have the GPT models available. Uh, uh, hey, Sam, I'm getting a bit of my voice returned from you. If you could mute your mic. So Many 15, we have the GPT models and we have the Gemini models as well. Okay, so it added textures. This looks really nice. And you can use either the GPT, the Codex models, or Gemini for the studio. Nice, Alex. Glad you're satisfied with it. I've also generated a lot of times for smaller games assets with code, so you can generate a few assets, right? Like this, if you want a very detailed asset on your game, and you can also get away with other assets generated in code. So that's really cool. So money, I already answered your question before, but let me actually answer you in chat in case you're not listening.
I think the 3D asset did come back, by the way. You may have to like click save or something. Oh, it's
Okay, yeah,
already.
it works. So it should be on our assets, right? I think this should be cached actually. So if we were to, let me get out and go back again. Yeah, you can see it on our. Seems like we actually have some of these are probably half made, right? But this is our correct one, so you can see it on the assets here. For example, let me open this project right here. So this is a project that I made with. This is a somewhat horror game, right? So all of the. Let me actually mute Sam here. Okay. So on this project, for example, I generated all of the 3D models, right? The visual assets in code, and all of the sounds for the monster and the voices here. You can't hear it from this preview, but we have voice as well. Everything was generated inside the studio. So, and this was also a game jam project, so you can actually make some pretty good stuff. Yeah. Wish you guys could hear the all of the audio features that we had. You can actually see here on the on the conversation all the assets that it made.
shit.
Also, if you guys want to actually ask some questions, feel free to open mic as well.
क्या हो रहा है? Sound कहाँ गया?
Hey, Samriti, if you have a question, feel free to ask it. Since you've unmuted yourself, I assume you're waiting to ask a question.
Oh, sorry, I had muted him because there were a bit of some noise
Oh no,
there, but I just unmuted.
that only mutes it for yourself, Pedro, not for us.
Ah, okay, nice.
Samriti, you're unmuted. Do you have a question that you want to ask?
I have a question related to it.
Sure, go ahead.
Can we build a shooting game inside this Jabali AI?
Yeah, a first-person shooter, for example.
Yeah, like Counter Strike or Call of Duty types, something.
Yeah, absolutely. We even have, if we go to templates here, I think we have one.
I think it's called 3D Open World, maybe.
3D open world. Yeah, there's a GTA like here, but we had a first-person one as well. I don't think it's showing on the first-person
There should
shooter
be
one.
one more 3D one. If you go scroll down or something, maybe it'll be there, or maybe up. I'm not sure where it is, but it's definitely in this list. Can you go up?
Yeah.
Maybe it's on top.